I think it's time. Finally, let me talk about aviation. And I'm going to single out the sugar industry, because that's where we have a huge crisis. But let me talk about aviation. Africa has 15% of the population of the world, but we have only 2% of air traffic, meaning that there is potential, there is huge potential for us in the air travel space. Kenya Airways was doing well up to a certain point. And I dare say that the problem with Kenya Airways and the financial challenges therein are a reflection of internal and managerial mistakes rather than market prospects. It is not the market. It cannot be the market. There is a problem with management, and there is a problem with conflict of interest, and there is a problem that we all know. Being a national asset and being a strategic asset, Kenya Airways is not an asset we would want to let go at all. And therefore, it cannot also continue to be on life support forever. We have to agree. So our commitment as Kenya Kwanza is that we are going to develop a turnaround strategy for Kenya Airways within 2 years and bring it back to what it is supposed to do. And it is possible. Our sugar industry, and I was in Mumias the other day, has suffered the brand of underinvestment. We have committed as Kenya Kwanza that aside from writing off all the debts that are owed by government, we are also going to negotiate all the other debts owed to banks and other individuals with a view of paying them off so that we can make the factories in Mumias, in Zoya, and all the other government-owned factories free of debt. And then we can then inject new capital and ensure that we have modern facilities that will be able to deliver to our sugarcane farmers the same way the private mills are doing. It cannot be that all the private mills are doing well and all the government mills are making losses. It's not possible. There must be a structural problem. Let me also talk about sports, because it's an important sector for us. We are a great sporting nation, and we need to leverage our sports to do at least 3 things. Number 1, to project our country and profile our country in a manner that we can leverage on the other sectors of the economy, number 1. Number 2, we must create a big sports garment industry out of Kenya, out of our sportsmen and women. Because everywhere in the world, if you said this shoe comes from Kenya, the sporting nation, you will get a premium price for it. And of course, we must make sure that the fund that we set up to deal with matters of sports infrastructure, which currently is being used to do other things, we have to ring fence that money. We collected, I think, 15 billion, but it was used to build hospitals instead of used to build sports infrastructure. All the resources coming from the fund must go to developing sports infrastructure. As I conclude, I want to talk about environment and climate change. We commit as Kenya Kwanza to grow 5 million acres of trees under agroforestry. We also commit to build industry out of solid waste. And we are going to begin with Sakaja in Nairobi. We're going to begin with Sakaja in Nairobi. Solid waste, apart from being an environmental hazard, we can flip it and create jobs, industry, power, and many other products, building materials out of it. That will be our focus. Let me talk about 2 or 3 enablers. One of them is going to be healthcare. We have been on the campaign trail and we have committed to the people of Kenya that we will have a universal health insurance that will make sure that every Kenyan will go to hospital and they will walk away without paying a penny after they get treatment. Let me say 4 things. The rest are in the manifesto. Let me say 4 things. We need to do 4 things. Number 1, as a matter of urgency and within our first 3 months, we will procure and put in place a state-of-the-art health integrated information management system that will make it possible for health records of every Kenyan to be portable so that you don't have to write on paper every time, and you don't have to go for MRI here, and then you go to another hospital, you do another MRI. It should be possible to make that MRI that was done in this hospital available in the next hospital because we have. That will also assist us in making sure that we have information on the health of our country and how many people are in what category and what do we need to do and even what kind of drugs we need to keep on our shelves. Secondly, we are going to sort out and establish a stakeholder managed national procurement scheme for drugs to leverage on bulk purchase and also to bring transparency and accountability in public procurement of drugs to eliminate the KEMSA scandals. What are we saying? What are we saying? We are saying the following. The same thing that happens with procurement of our petroleum products. Industry, government, they come together and they procure collectively in bulk for Kenya. And that is why our oil products are the most competitive. So, KEMSA will not procure alone. In fact, we had a meeting with the health stakeholders, and they told us a simple hospital, one hospital, I don't want to mention their name, said they buy drugs as a single hospital much more cheaply than KEMSA buys, but KEMSA buys in bulk. So they were wondering, I thought if you buy in bulk, you get a lower price. But Kempta buys in bulk, but pays more. So we are recommending as Kenya Kwanza that the same model that involves stakeholders, we are going to bring private hospitals, we are going to bring public hospitals, we are going to bring other players, and we purchase drugs for Kenya collectively so that we eliminate all matters to do with transparency and we avoid the problems in Kemsa. We have committed, because we had meetings with health professionals and people in the professional sector to deal with the challenge that currently exists between health professionals and the counties and the national government. That space there is not tidy, and we have committed ourselves that we will resolve that space. Counties are saying they do not have the money. Give me some water, wait. I thought you were bringing me water. You're giving me more instructions. Thank you very much. And thirdly, we have worked with health professionals, and our information is that we will redesign the National Hospital Insurance Fund to make it trustworthy, to deliver on its mandate. And our analysis shows that a contribution structure where the lowest now is contributing 500. The lowest in our structure will contribute not 500 but 300. And the highest will contribute 3,000. That structure of contribution will fund everybody's requirements, and there will be no out of pocket. We will stop the harambes, and there will be no additional resources required apart from the public ones. Do you understand what you are saying? Yes. So the highest paying, like yours truly, will now move from 1,700 to 3,000. And the lowest will go down from 500 to 300. So that we can, that continuum, our estimate is that we will get a product that covers the 550 billion shillings we need to take care of our health requirements annually. Another enabler, of course, is education. You agree with me that education is in a crisis. Education, especially higher education, is in a crisis. Most of our universities are struggling. In fact, most of our universities only get maybe 50%, maybe 55% of the money they require to be able to run the programs they run. And as a result, universities have 65 billion shilling debt to NHIF, to NSSF, to pay as you earn. So, in fact, the Auditor General said the other day, all our universities are technically insolvent. That's the sorry state of our universities. So, we have to rethink what we are doing with our higher education. The proposal we are making as Kenya Kwanza is that we are going to merge the Higher Education Loans Board, the University Funding Board, and the TVET Funding Board into one unit. And this unit will be responsible for scholarships, it will be responsible for funding, and it will assess all students. Today, there are students who don't need scholarship, but they are given scholarship. So there will be assessment so that we can close the gap. And it should be possible for us as government to also know what are the skills. Sometimes we are training people in fields that we already have a surplus. We should be able to say as a government, if it is this field, we have a surplus, we cannot fund. Let us fund the fields that we have shortages so that we can close the gaps and be able to drive our Vision 2030 the way it is. So we are going to call this organization the National Skills and Funding Council, so that it looks at the skills and it funds the skills that are necessary for the trajectory we are going into. And then finally, we will complete the construction of the 52 TVET institutions that are not yet constructed. We have 52 constituencies that do not have. We have 250 wards that do not have a vocational training center. We will do those. We will construct those also. And then we will also close the gap on teachers in our schools. We have a gap of 116,000 teachers. We have undertaken as Kenya Kwanza that we are going to hire the 116,000 teachers in 2 tranches. 50% year 1, 50% year 2. We have also undertaken that to lower the cost of education, we are going to have a special tariff for utilities, for power, for water, for internet to our learning institutions. We are going to have a special tariff. We have also said that the current program on school feeding of 2 million school-going children, we are going to expand it. And we have agreed that we are going to work with counties. We are going to double to 4 million as national government. And every county that want to match, we are going to assist them to match a shilling for a shilling, so that we can move the number of our children who have food in school to 8 million. That's our target. Statistics are very clear. We have close to 200,000 kids who are not in school, and the only reason they are not in school is that there is no food. And statistics has shown that if there is a school feeding program, the attendance and the performance is enhanced. We have agreed with the teachers that delocalization will be at the place when you are being hired. If you want to work in another county, not a home county, you will be hired at that level, and you will be paid an allowance for walking away from home. We have also agreed that the teacher continuous career development that currently is paid for by teachers will be paid for by government going forward. Finally, our youth and women are the largest component of our plan. Apart from them being cutting across all these sectors, when we are talking about jobs, when we are talking about internet, when we are talking about all this, but specifically we had engagement with the young people of this nation, and we agreed with them that there will be a youth ministry. We also agreed with them that we will have a special advisor at the presidency sitting in cabinet to ensure that all government programs and ministries are youth friendly. We also have a special charter with women, which we have signed. And we have agreed that 50% of the Kenya Kwanza cabinet will be the women of the Republic of Kenya. We have also undertaken that within 3 months we will have a mechanism, and within 12 months we will execute and attain the 2/3 gender principle that is provided for in the Constitution. And we have agreed that women and young people who have LPOs will become automatic beneficiaries of the Hustler Fund without any further requirements. Our persons living with disability, we had an engagement with them, and I see them around. And we agreed with them that all people living with disability will be enrolled in NHIF in the first 18 months. We also agreed that integrated schools to allow children living with disability to start interacting with the general public, to restore their confidence and self-esteem. We also agreed that we increase capitation of pupils living with disability by another 50% and set aside 15% of public funded bursaries set aside for pupils living with disability. Let me also, we will continue the program we have on roads, complete first all the stalled road projects, and reassess in accordance with the proposals that were made to us in the county forums. In the county forums, several roads were suggested that would make the economies of those counties work better. We will work with the counties and the county priority roads so that we can go into the future with the road infrastructure that is there. And then finally, I will go to governance. And before I go to governance, let me speak to something about water. Water is very important as a principle. We have sat down with experts and we have agreed that this time round we are going to have a different strategy of deploying water, especially from the big dams. We have 57 dams that we already identified as government last term. We have changed, or we have agreed to work on a different strategy of delivery. The same way we have power purchase agreements, we are going to work on water purchase agreements so that we can bring the private sector on board. There are many people who are willing to invest in our huge dams or even in underground water. For example, the Turkana aquifer. There are proposals from the private sector that if we give them a water purchase agreement, they will be able to invest their own money. And the same way they sell us power, they can sell us water. So we believe that that is the future to delivery of water from big dams, so that it leaves government to work on climate smart water harvesting initiatives, water harvesting programs, implement policy that will ensure that we harvest and harness all the water that we can as we work with the private sector to deliver water from our aquifers and from our large dams. Finally, then I will take a few questions. Let me go finally to governance. We are the team that will complete the implementation of the 2010 Constitution. We believe that rather than mutilate the Constitution for political expediency, there is a lot that needs to be completed in terms of implementing the 2010 Constitution. Kenya Kwanza will end political weaponization of state institutions. This includes the criminal justice system, tax authorities, anti-corruption institutions, and the entire security apparatus. We want these institutions to operate independently, as is expected of them by the Constitution. In our first 100 days, we will implement the constitutional requirement of a police service commission to have its own budget and its own accounting officer. We do not believe that the police should be begging for money from the office of the president. The police should run its own independent budget with its own accounting officer. The saying, "He who pays the piper calls the tune," is the current problem with our criminal justice system. We are also going to operationalize on our first day in office the Judiciary Fund, and as established by the Constitution. We believe the judiciary must be independent, operationally, constitutionally, and financially. The 2.5% of the budget required to run the judiciary will be made available to the judiciary, so that the judiciary can run its course, deliver justice, and do so in a timely manner. Because justice delayed is justice denied. Kenya Kwanza will end all unauthorized evictions and property demolitions. The kind of spectacle we see in Kariobangi and Korogosho is not only inhuman, it is unconstitutional. Yes, sir. And it should never be allowed to happen to any other country. Kenya Kwanza will end ethnic profiling in the issuance of identity documents. And we will specifically establish an administrative appeal tribunal to ensure a fair and transparent process in the registration of persons, with clear appeal procedure of not more than 14 days if a person is denied registration. Of course, we will appoint all the judges nominated by the Judicial Service Commission to the Court of Appeal. Of course we will. And we will do it within 7 days. Kenya Kwanza will ensure that we respect, we protect, and defend freedom of worship. We will lift the existing moratorium on registration of new religious organizations and expedite the registration processes. We will complete the transfer of all functions constitutionally earmarked as devolved functions to counties within 3 months. And we will strengthen the intergovernmental institutions of Council of Governors, IBEC, the summit, and make sure that they meet regularly. We will, of course, respect the devolved system of government and review the formula for sharing national resources between the two levels of government and allocation of the revenue by either level of government to take into consideration population and other factors provided for under the law. On public service and our security services, we will ensure that there is a contributory benevolent fund for families of fallen and terminally ill officers, including mental illness. We will harmonize affordable housing mortgages similar to that of the judiciary and parliament to be available for our public service and the police. We will ensure that there is horizontal transfer options for people in service with the rest of the public service. It should be able to transfer your services between the police, public service, the civil service, so long as they are the same cadres. We'll ensure that there is an insurance cover for loss of life while on duty for all police officers, similar to that of the military. Security sector reform is good for everyone, and police reform efforts must not be wound back. Therefore, we will ensure that within the first 100 days, the Kenya Kwanza administration will commission a review that will consider improvement of remuneration and terms of service for all officers in the security sector to be commensurate with the current cost of living. And finally, we will deploy robust, creative, and engaging foreign exchange policy to raise Kenya's profile as a regional anchor state and amplify our partnership with the rest of the world, including Africa, USA, China, Europe, United Kingdom, India, among other partners. We will give a place of prominence to the role of Kenya's diaspora, including a ministry to take care of diaspora issues. Kenyans are rightfully skeptical of lofty promises and seemingly well-crafted plans that never get implemented. We have developed this plan well aware that this plan will stand or fall on implementation. We believe that the implementation plan outlined in this manifesto will demonstrate to Kenyans that this plan is rigorously appraised and financeable within the resources constraints that we face. Thank you very much.
Yes, fifth president, inshallah. Let's get a few questions now from the audience. I will start there. Dennis.
All right. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. My name is Charles Karondo from Kiharu, Murang'a County. And first of all, I really want to congratulate you for the great plan that you have shared with us today. Before I ask the question, I also want to note that today I feel it for the IBC chair, because wherever he is listening to this speech today in the manifesto, he must really be having a hard time restraining himself from converting this into an inauguration ceremony and just swearing in the fifth president. Now, Your Excellency, my question goes on the issue of health. I have heard you mention